Hi, everyone. Hello from California. On behalf of our staff, Luna Luna Magazine is so grateful to share community with everyone tonight. We strive to create a platform that nurtures inclusivity in art, wellness, and critical discourse. Our submissions open in May, and we would be honored if you sent work our way. We wish everyone good conversations with your friends, family, and ancestors. We wish everyone safety, rest, fun, and creativity as you move towards the spring equinox and renewal. Thank you for your words, your vigilance, and your beauty tonight and always.
Hi, my name is Gaia, and I'm a 16-year-old poet and student, and I couldn't be more honored to be organizing this event with the amazing Khalisa.
I'm Khalisa Rae, and I am a poet and journalist in Durham, North Carolina, and I'm super excited to be hosting once again with my lovely co-host, Gaia Rajan. Thank you so much, Monique, and the folks over at Luna Luna and Rebel Women Lit. We are so excited to be co-hosting and presenting with you. We could not have done this without your care and support.
I couldn't be more thrilled to be here with some of my favorite poets and to connect with you all tonight. If you didn't catch our last reading, head over to womenofcolorspeak.com at wocspeak.com to watch our Valentine's Day Men Be Many reading.
So just a couple quick announcements. This is a safe space. So we try to cultivate a safe space where everybody feels seen, known, and heard. With that said, there will be absolutely no hate speech. If there is or any negativity in any of the chats, we will have you removed. So please keep it positive. But with that being said, we feed off your energy. So if you give us positivity, if you amp us up in the chat, if you celebrate everyone, snaps, amens, go sister, whatever you want to say, we feed off of your energy. So please keep the chat going, keep it live, and keep it energetic.
So our first reader today is Ada Limón, and we're just going to share some stories about her to begin with. So Khalisa, go ahead.
So I am kind of mad because Guy is putting me on the spot to go first with this because I'm already super emotional about this. So Ada actually and I met my first year at Queen's University for my MFA program. And honestly, she's one of the most impactful people that I've ever met that have just impacted my work so much. I had the honor and privilege to have her as a professor my years in my MFA program, and then she was my thesis advisor. And then I had the honor and privilege of studying with her in Santiago, Chile, and studying abroad. I do want to share what my favorite poem of hers is, and then I'll pass to Gaia to do the same. So my favorite poem by Ada is How to Triumph Like a Girl. I'm even like on the verge of crying right now. That poem is just so impactful for me because on days that I feel lost and I don't know what to do and how to keep moving, it teaches me how to survive. And so I just want to say thank you so much, Ada, for being amazing.
I actually first read Ada Limón in freshman year. She was the first poet whose work I studied academically, and I was fully, absolutely enchanted. And my friends will know I spent the entire year quoting lines from Bright Dead Things in casual conversation. So it's just such a dream that she's here with us today. Yeah, Ada, take it away.
Hi and welcome. Khalisa, you already made me cry, so that's how we've begun. Thank you so much for having me. It is such an honor to be here with all these remarkable, remarkable women. And yeah, I'm blown away and I'm already emotional. So let's see if we can get through a reading, shall we? I'm going to read, I think, 5 poems, but they're all fairly short. I thought I would start with this for Khalisa. How to triumph like a girl. I like the lady horses best. How they make it all look easy. Like running 40 miles per hour is as fun as taking a nap or grass. I like their lady horse swagger after winning. Ears up, girls, ears up. But mainly, let's be honest, I like that they're ladies. As if this big, dangerous animal is also a part of me. That somewhere inside the delicate skin of my body, there pumps an 8-pound female horse heart. Giant with power, heavy with blood. Don't you want to believe it? Don't you want to lift my shirt and see the huge, beating, genius machine that thinks, no, it knows, it's going to come in first? I thought since I had this book in front of me that I would read another poem, which I have not read in a while. But because this is this particular reading, I want to bring it to the floor. Service. Somewhere outside of Albuquerque, I was all fed up with the stories about your ex-girlfriend's guest billboard in New York City. And to make matters worse, I had to pee like a racehorse, or like a girl who'd had too much to drink way too far from home. You stopped at a friend's body shop to talk about a buddy who was stuck someplace in Mexico. You were talking pulling strings and taking pulls off a brown bottle, and no one told me where the restroom was. So I walked back to where the hot rods were displayed like dogs ready for a fight, baring their grills like teeth. I was hungry. The air smelled like hot gasoline and that sweet carnation smell of oil and coolant. A girl pitbull came and circled me as I circled the cars. She sniffed my ankles like I was her kin or on some kind of rescue mission. You were still talking, not a glance in the direction of me and the bitch working our ways around the souped-up Corvettes and the power tools. The pit was glossy, well cared for, a queen of the car shop. And when she widened her hind legs and squatted to pee all over one of the car's dropped canvases, I took it as a challenge. That strong yellow stream seemed to be saying, girl, no one's gonna tell me when to take a leak, when to bow down, when not to bite. So right then, in the dim lights of the strange garage, I lifted my skirt and pissed like the hard bitch I was. I haven't read that one in a while. That's a true story. And hi, Mom. What a transition. And hello, Mother. This is a poem for my mom who's watching. I braided my hair and I miss my mom so much. And I kept thinking, I really wish my mom could come and braid my hair. I know so many of us feel that way. So this is a poem for my mom. The Raincoat. When the doctor suggested surgery and a brace for all my youngest years, my parents scrambled to take me to massage therapy, deep tissue work, and soon my crooked spine unspooled a bit. I could breathe again and move more in a body unclouded by pain. My mom would tell me to sing songs to her the whole 45-minute drive to Middle Two Rock Road and 45 minutes back from physical therapy. She'd say that even my voice sounded unfettered by my spine afterward. So I sang and sang because I thought she liked it. I never asked her what she gave up to drive me or how her day was before this chore. Today, at her age, I was driving myself home from yet another spine appointment, singing along to some maudlin but solid song on the radio. And I saw a mom take her raincoat off and give it to her young daughter when a storm took over the afternoon. My God, I thought, my whole life I've been under her raincoat, thinking it was somehow a marvel that I never got wet. Just trying to keep it together. Thank you all for joining us and for being here. This is for those of us who are in pain, and sometimes you can't tell. And so I think one of the gifts of having these beautiful virtual readings is that we recognize that people can attend in that may not otherwise be able to attend. And so I just want to recognize that in terms of our ableist culture. Wonder Woman. Standing at the swell of the muddy Mississippi, after the urgent care doctor had just said, "Well, sometimes shit happens," I fell fast and hard for New Orleans all over again. Pain pills swirled in the purse along with a spell for later. It's taken a while for me to admit that I am in a raging battle with my body. A spinal column 35 degrees bent, vertigo that comes and goes like a DC Comics villain nobody can kill. Invisible pain is both a blessing and a curse. "You always look so happy," said a stranger once, as I shifted to my good side, grinning. But that day, alone on the riverbank, brass blaring from the steamboat Natchez, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a girl, maybe half my age, dressed for no apparent reason as a Wonder Woman. She strutted by in all her strength and glory, invincible, eternal. And when I stood to clap, because who wouldn't have, she bowed and posed like she knew I needed a myth. A woman by a river, indestructible. And let's see here. I'm actually going to read two more, if that's okay. And I thought this is a poem that deals with, I think, many different roles that we have. Many of us as women aren't mothers, and many of us don't want to be wives. I am a wife, but I struggled with the word. And so this is a poem for that. Wife. I'm not yet comfortable with the word. It's short, clean whoosh that sounds like life. At dinner last night, my single girls said in admonition, it's not wife approved, about their friend's upcoming trip. Their eyes rolled up and over and out of their pretty young little heads. Wife. Why does it sound like a job? I want a wife, the famous feminist wrote. A wife who will keep my clothes clean, ironed, mended, replaced when need be. A word that could be made easily into maid. A wife that does, fixes, soothes, honors, obeys, housewife, fishwife, bad wife, good wife. What's the word for someone who stares long into the morning, unable to even fix tea some days, the kettle whistling over, who also cries in the mornings, she who tears a hole in the earth and cannot stop grieving, the one who wants to love you, but often isn't even good at that, the one who doesn't want to be diminished by how much she wants to be yours. And I will close with a brand new poem because I thought I would be risking something, I guess. And here I am now, hopefully not regretting this decision. So this is in the Poetry Northwest issue, and I'm going to close with this poem. Only the faintest blue. Somewhere in the haunted desert, I hitched my callow life to a man who thought I hadn't suffered enough. He might have said that very thing. You haven't suffered enough. Young whiptail lizards lined the cottonwood path to the river where I walked each day to remember who I was, she who had not suffered enough. My hands tanned in the sage green air. I walked until I was softer, until clouds, until I could tame my colors and go back and cook a lazy dinner. Once he insisted I ride home with his friend who was clearly drunk so he could make a call he didn't want me to hear. An ex, a lawyer, a dealer, I don't know. I knew I didn't like his friend, who drove too fast after shots of tequila at the roadside Mexican dive with fake spiky cacti in the foyer like stage props. Maybe this is suffering, I thought. Am I suffering now? Or now? I felt most myself by the river. Vast sorrel river ready to flood or tear down anything in its way. Hard to cross, rapid and legendary, the color of the earth. I did not want to throw myself in. Instead, I'd watch the whiptails skitter in dust, sisters of the small, quiet pleasure of edges and disappearing to safety. I can still hear that river in my mind, my teacher. I can still remember the day I left him. I can still remember the arguing, the fight where I kept my head down and packed like fury was a new smart skill. But mostly, I remember the flitting of lizards, how they had felt like kin and kinship, how later I read that the New Mexico whiptail is an all-female species, reproducing by parthenogenesis, asexual and yet genetically diverse. Yellow lines run the length of their gray bodies with vibrant blue-green tails when they're young. And as they age, their scales, their whole body changes until only the faintest blue remains. And safer now, they become the earthen color of the river. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Ada. Just was sobbing the whole time. No waterproof mascara, just like sobbing the entire time. So I know all of you are just dying to hear where can you get Ada's work. So what I wanted to do is just read her book titles and some info about them, and then we will put the links for those in the chats and put the information online so you have them. So her books, The Caring, which won the National Book Critics Circle Award. We will put that in the chat and the links online for that as well. Bright Dead Things, which is my favorite, was named the finalist for the National Book Award and a finalist for the Kingsley Tufts Poetry Award. My other favorite, Sharks in the Water. We'll put just links to all of Ada's books so you can just go consume and gorge on all of her beautiful work. Next up, I'll pass to Gaia to introduce our next reader.
Khalisa said it far better than I could, but wow, Ada, that reading absolutely stunned me. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to announce our next reader, Janel Pineda. Here's her bio. Janel Pineda is a Los Angeles-born Salvadoran poet and educator. She has performed her poetry internationally in both English and Spanish and has been published in LitHub, Pank, The Breakbeat Poets, Volume 4, Latinx, and The Wandering Song, Central American Writing in the US, among others. As a Marshall Scholar, she holds an MA in Creative Writing and Education from Goldsmiths, University of London. Janel's debut poetry chapbook, Lineage of Rain, recently released from Haymarket Books, and we'll be putting that in the chat. So take it away, Janel.
Hello, everyone. It is such an honor to be here. I'm crying already, and it was so beautiful to hear your poems, Ada. I think as you read, I realized too how much some of those poems, so much of your work has changed me and helped me understand myself and my family and life a lot better. And I think all of this just reminds me how powerful poetry is in our lives. I'm realizing how much too they influence some of the poems I'm going to read, particularly The Raincoat. I have a complicated relationship with my older sister, but that poem helped me heal and understand a bit better. This poem is for her. To the eldest daughter. Because she remembered to unfreeze the chicken, steam the arroz, wash the dishes, and prepare snacks for the kids after picking them up from school, dinner was always half ready by the time mommy got home from her 12-hour hospital shift, and I'd emerge quietly from the books I drowned myself in, those days when I took for granted the things she inevitably sacrificed. Time with friends, the basketball team, her own homework, a childhood learning to play the cello. Instead, she helped mommy raise the rest of us. While I wrote, she changed diapers, washed the cars, opened the windows, mopped the floors, took the heat when I broke the family camera, pulled me aside, and scolded me for not understanding our parents couldn't afford the fancy summer programs I begged for. And still, I'm sure she stayed up helping. The summer, mommy decided to sell burritos every evening after work so they could pay for me to go write poems in Tennessee. Years of my jet setting, big dreaming, sleeping soundly, knowing she was home, doing everything that needed doing. And still she drove 6 days cross country alone to watch me descend Old West steps, graduation cap and all. The string of roses she spent all night sewing, draped over my neck. Oh, hermana, I bow to you now as I did then, wreathed by the grace of every goodness you have given. Next poem I'm going to read is new. These are new poems. I haven't shared these yet. I think writing under the pandemic has also shifted my writing to a more meditative place, I think. This poem is called Feeding Finches. Ever since the foreclosure notice was posted on our front door, my father has been feeding finches, palming safflower seeds and shelled corn and white proso millet into a makeshift feeder by my sister's plants. The finches come in flocks, bowing before food. My father watches them take turns wing bathing in the dog bowl before flying off. He lets them go, knowing they'll return and knowing he'll feed them again. What else is a man's worth but the promise of seeds he offers his children? What else but the halo of a roof he secures atop their heads? This poem is called The Yellow Jackets. When they began nesting on the eaves of our home, the summer we were almost without one, I couldn't find it in me to do anything but watch one after the other drifting determinedly toward our roof. They spent July busying themselves with my father's roses, picking at caterpillars, taking refuge from the heat. I watched their queen carry half her weight in chewed up wood, then use it to build her hiding place on my porch. Something tells me we should have gotten rid of them, but what sense did it make? To rid ourselves of a thing we could live peacefully beside, to take their home while we begged to be allowed to keep ours. Thank you for holding those. I just have one more poem. This poem is called In Another Life. The war never happened, but somehow you and I still exist. Like obsidian, we know only the memory of lava and not the explosion that created us. Forget the gun-down church, the burning flesh, the cabbage soup. There is no bus, there is no border, there is no blood. There are only sweet corn fields and mango skins, the turquoise house and clotheslines, a heaping plate of pasteles and curtido waiting to be disappeared into our bellies. In this life, our people are not things of silences, but whole worlds bursting into breath. Everywhere there are children, playing freely, clothed and clean. Mozote does not mean massacre, and flowers bloom in every place shoes are left behind. My name still means truth, this time in a language my mouth recognizes, in a language I know how to speak. My grandmother is still a storyteller, although I am not a poet. In this life, I do not have to be. This poem somehow still exists. It is told in my mother's voice, and she makes hurt dissolve like honey in hot water, manzanilla warming the throat. You and I do not find each other on another continent, grasping at each other's necks in search of home. We meet in a mercado, my arms overflowing with mamey and danonas, and together we wash them in river water. We watch sunset fall over a land we call our own and do not fear its taking. I bite into the fruit, mouth sucking seed from substance, pulling its veins from between my teeth. Our laughter echoes from inside the cave, one we are free to step outside of. We do not have to hide here. We do not have to hide anywhere. A torogos flies past my face, and I do not fear its flapping. Thank you all for having me. It's an honor.
Thank you so much, Janel. That was absolutely beautiful. I'm so excited to introduce our next reader and just keep that power going. Our next reader is Sumita Chakraborty. She is a poet, essayist, and scholar, and she's also the Helen Zell Visiting Professor at the University of Michigan. Her poetry has appeared in Academy of American Poets, Poem a Day, the American Poetry Review, Best American Poetry 2019, The Rumpus, The Offing, and others. Currently, you can find her poetry collection, Arrow, by Alice James Books. We will put that link in the chat. And it's had coverage in the New York Times, NPR, Guardian. We will also link you to her website as well, so you can find out more about Sumita. Sumita, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Khalisa and Gaia, for that intro and this invite. Do you all out there ever have a moment where you regret every decision you've made in the past? I am having a moment like that when I reflect on the fact that about an hour ago, I decided to put on eyeliner that was not waterproof. If I start choking through my throat, it's because of all the tears from all the beauty that we've just heard, and just the immense pleasure of being able to be in a room like this. I'm going to read a couple poems. I'll start with one that's not in Arrow, actually. I think of this poem as kind of a prequel to the book. So the book is about being or contending with the aftermath largely of domestic violence and of grief, and learning how to be someone who values love and kinship and connectivity, even though all those things were weaponized against me from pretty much the very beginning of my life. So the kind of prequel poem that didn't end up in the book is one that's a little bit more directly about all that violence and agony. It is a faux eulogy, so it is for someone who is not dead. It's called "And Death Demands a Labor." When it rains in Boston, from each street rises the smell of sea. So do the faces of the dead. For my father, I will someday write, "On this day endeth this man who did all he could to craft the most intricate fears, this man whose waking dreams were of breaking the small bones in the feet of all the world's birds. Father, you know the stories. You were raised on them. To end a world, a god dances. To kill a demon, a goddess turns into one. Almanacs of annihilation are chronicled in cosmic time. Go on. Batter everything of mine that you can find. Find my roe deer with the single antler, kill him. Find a girl or a woman, display to me her remains on some unpaved expanse like roadkill on Kentucky highways, turning from flesh to a fine sand made of ground bone, under a sun whose surface reaches temperatures 6 times hotter than the finest crematory. On the surface of the earth, our remains are an unholy concert with the remains of all who have gone before and all who will follow, and with all who live. In this way, our ground resembles a bone house. Search in my body for my heart. Find it doesn't sit gently where you learned it to be. Thieve in my armory. Take my saws, take my torches, and drown my phalanx of bees. Carve into me the words of the chronicler of hell. Make your very best catastrophe. My piano plays loud and fast, although my hands are nowhere to be found. Father, as you well know, I am but a woman. I believe in neither gods nor goddesses. I have left my voice up and down the seam of this country. I, unlike you, need no saws or torches. The bees you drowned will come to me again. Each time you bear your weapons, I, no more than a woman, grow a new limb. Each time you use a weapon, my sinews grow like vines that devour a maple tree. When I cry, my face becomes the inescapable sea, and when you drain blood from a creature, I drink it. On this day, this man died, having always eaten the good food amid the angry ghosts, having always made the most overwrought hells. On this day, the moon waxes gibbous and the moths breed in the old carpets. On this day, from a slit in the ground rises a girl who does not live long. On this day, to me, a lover turns their back and will not meet my eye. On this day, the faces of the death-marked are part willow, part lion. On this day has died an artist of ugly tapestries, and his wares burst into flame. On this day endeth this man, upon who I hurl the harvest of this ghostly piano. And on the surface of this exceptional world, the birds have all come to our thresholds, our windows and our doors, our floorboards, our attic crannies and underground storerooms, wires and railroads, tarmacs, highways, cliffs and oceans, and have all begun to laugh a sound like an orange and glittering fire that originates from places unseen. So I'll read a couple next from Arrow. There are a bunch of poems in this book that are titled "Oh Spirit." I think it's about 6 of them, and they all do kind of different things. So I'm going to read 2 of the "Oh Spirit" poems from the middle of the book. Oh Spirit. A bear brings forth her young, informous and unshapen. I now wear the pelt of the conjured beast around my groin. I think of new words for solace, one of which is knifed. We take no form until licked into shape by the tongues of those who love us. And for something completely different, although titled the exact same, Oh Spirit. It takes work for a woman to welcome a fist with her body. Fists are larger than the spaces they make for themselves in a chest, or the holes into which we welcome them with longing. Asking whether I wish for one now because I knew them well as a child is like asking if a volcano expels lava, because when a small mountain cloistered within seawaters, its first experience of heat was unbidden. The question requires a certain old knowledge of safety to ask. What does it mean that the first time you saw a cock, it was raised in menace from a boil of shared blood, the question says. Tell me the origin story of pain, and tell me what happens to pain as it ages, and tell me how the ocean bottom dirt you grew from tastes. Volcanoes understand differences in kinds and in chords. The origin story of pain is abjection. Not a single stream of lava is like one that has come before or will come since. All my lips make treacherous lights float in midair. I wasn't going to do that one, but it's kind of in honor of you, Janel, with your lava reference in your poem, which was stunning, by the way. So I'm going to put the book away now and do some new stuff, too. So one of the most maddening questions I get quite literally all the time is it true? When people have read the book and they see references to explicit mentions of violence of some kind, they go, is that true? Like, did that really happen? And that made me really mad. It always made me really mad. And then it made me really, really mad. And then I wrote this poem. The title is When They Ask, Is It True? I Answer. The only other thing I think you need to know, there was that period in there where NASA said that there was going to be new news dropping about the moon in like a few days. And all the poets on Twitter, myself so very much included, fully lost their minds. So that's a little bit of background info that you might need to know. And I'm going to read the title again when I read the poem, because it is the first time I've pulled off a title that runs into the first line. And I'm just really proud of that. When they ask, is it true? I answer, what more is there to learn about the moon? Listen, you and I both know there's more that I could share. I could tell you about the first time I put pennies in my mouth. I could tell you every time I grew or sheared my hair. No, I know. What you want to know is whether I wept, whether I begged. In a few days, the astronomers will tell us what they've learned about the moon. You and I were in this together, our nude breasts pressed against our draftiest windows in the winter. Say the moon has more silt than we imagined. Say it has a mountain. Say baby lions roam its crests in little feline space boots. The things we're closest to aren't easy to name, but that's no excuse. Deimos and Phobos, brothers. Eo, a round marble in the cheek of a name. Euclid, too dim to photograph, too small. Still, we named her. Ours, though? We named it Moon. Like Holly Golightly naming her cat, Cat. Have you put a name on my child mouth? If you were asked to give our moon a name right now, right this minute, what would it be? Whoever told us we have the right to learn anything about the bodies for which we never even imagined a name. And this will be my last one. I'm doing a series inspired by the Golden Records. Those were records sent up in a 1977 NASA expedition. They were imagined as kind of like a greatest hits of humanity and or like an intro kit to Homo sapiens. Astronomers on the committee and scientists of other kinds and artists and whatnot imagined that if the record encountered any extraterrestrials, the extraterrestrials would A, have a record player, and B, be able to get an introduction to human beings and to Earth from what was on it. Accordingly, they left out a great deal for a variety of reasons, from mundane, like copyright stuff, to the more horrible reasons we have for excluding things. It was an all-white, I think predominantly male committee, and biases accordingly did their thing. So I'm writing a series of the B-sides of the Golden Records, and they include things that are not flattering. They include things that are minoritarian, so they didn't make the records in the first place, and pretty much any other random little thing I feel like telling aliens about. So this is the first one, the B-sides of the Golden Records, track 1, The Canary Flies Toward the Mine, and it'll be my last poem. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to everyone here for having me. I cannot wait to be able to blubber freely and listen to the other work remaining from Natasha and from Patricia. It's truly such an honor. The B-sides of the Golden Records, track 1, The Canary Flies Toward the Mine. Once there was a patch of moss on a fallen tree trunk. We ran our hands through it. We sat on it. When we did so, we crushed the spores, we crushed insects. Once, whenever we saw an insect, we'd swat it or smush it in a wad of toilet paper. How to trap and kill an insect can sometimes be an entire plot point in our romantic comedies. We sometimes make lovely romantic comedies. Once we made crackers and cookies in all kinds of shapes, elephants, lions, circles, stars. We have trouble believing anything is real unless we can swallow it. More than once, we have poisoned the water. We are so very afraid that you will think we are trying to hurt you. We are so very sorry we could not send you Here Comes the Sun. It was written in a garden where there were purple and yellow flowers and a windmill and moss. What we need is for you to listen to our arias, our ragas, and our syncopations, and to think that we are worthy of saving, or at least deserving of a gentle vigil. We would also like if you could look at our demonstrations of licking, eating, and drinking and tell us how we work. Once we touched our unwashed hands to one another's lips. Once we took pictures of the insides of our bodies. Once we tapped messages to each other in languages we invented for when only silence and percussion would do. And we heard our tools scrape against one another and a wild dog bleated somewhere far away. We walked, our hearts beat, we laughed. Thank you so much.
Absolutely stunning. Gorgeous. Thank you so much, Sumita. Gaia, do you want to welcome up our next reader?
Yeah, I'm going to be thinking of some of those lines for a very long time. I already know. Our next reader is another poet who's inspired me and my work so much. Natasha Oladokun is a poet and essayist. She holds fellowships from Cave Canem, the Virginia Center for Creative Arts, the Jackson Center for Creative Writing, and the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where she was the inaugural First Wave Poetry Fellow. Her work has appeared in the American Poetry Review, the Academy of American Poets, Harvard Review Online, Kenyon Review Online, and elsewhere. You can read her regular column, The Petticoat Chronicles, on pop culture and period dramas at Catapult. She is associate poetry editor at Story South and currently lives in Madison, Wisconsin. And I'm going to put her book link in the chat, but let's welcome Natasha.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gaia and Khalisa, for making this space available to all of us. This has been truly the highlight of my month. This has been absolutely incredible. I also want to say a special thank you to our readers today, to Ada, to Janel, to Sumita, and to Patricia. This is just such a dream lineup, and kind of feels like I need to be pinched. It doesn't quite feel real. The work of writers of color, specifically women of color, has been one of the most profound effects on my life. And it is not an exaggeration to say that in many ways it has saved my life. And so I want to say a special thank you to everyone who is here and representing. I'm reminded of one of my favorite quotes by Toni Morrison. And she said, "The function of freedom is to free someone else." And that very much feels like the work that we're all getting to be a part of tonight. I'm going to be reading 3 poems. The first, I owe the title to an amazing Black poet from St. Louis, Jackie Germain. She has a line from a poem of hers that I really admire, and I have borrowed that line for my title here. The title is "Let My Anger Be the Celebration We Were Never Supposed to Have." America, you have left me on red more times than I can count. And yet I keep writing these texts to you, though you ghost me on the regular. Buzzed, I go to bed, and buzzing with expectation, each morning I wake up ready to do the same thing all over again, as though faith weren't something inherently crazy given the state of things. Lately, I've been making end times jokes, except they're not even jokes anymore. Who knew? The book of Revelation is a documentary, and the sky really is falling, and the ocean is filling faster with the blood of everyone except those who spill it freely without guilt. America, this is what my God has told me about you. You field of dying sunflowers, you semi-automatic gunslinging unsanctuary, you apparition that is the crowd gathered beneath yet another oak tree and the postcard. Justice is not a pendulum. It is not a hammer. It is not a bandage. It is water. And your better angels have long sung of its rolling tide, calling those things which are not as though they were. Am I crazy, America, letting you inside me again and again, though you do not even love me, no matter how much I pretzel myself into something soft and edible enough for your salt-slick tongue, America? I have lived in your valleys, and my shed skin is already buried in your ground. Night has fallen, America, and I am pulling your star down from the mountain. This next poem is a fairly new one that's in progress. So I figured I would go ahead and give that a read. Right now, the working title is Youth Group. Every Wednesday night, it was the same. Dimmed light, bass drums, pale arms raised and floating like angels' feathers. A jostle of sweat and stink, we turned the altar steps into a mosh pit, a sea of studded belts and dirty vans. Jesus freaks. We believed the names we kept were not of our own making. We were different. We sang that chorus loud. He loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. And we believed in blue-eyed God the Father, almighty maker of all things visible and not. This was the first God I learned to worship, God of the invisible, God of myself, God of covered midriffs, God of the Black friend. 15, I took my altar with me everywhere, childish, too grown, already clawing at heaven. I made sure not to raise my hands too high, to not distract, though all I wanted was a holy fire. God knew, meanwhile, he'd have to do. That if love was to be had, I'd call it down myself. My last poem, before we get to hear from Patricia, I decided to read this one last because it feels like a proper homage to her legacy and to her work. This poem is titled Black Credit. Thank you all so much for your presence and for listening. Black Credit. Lord, your good daughter I have been my whole life. I've kept your house clean as sucked bone, starved myself of everything your other children have told me is sin. I've sharpened my teeth on the slate of your word for your work's sake, bridled the glint of my tongue so men will feel strong and not be seen trembling under the soft of it. I've behaved. And for what do I hunger? Myself growing slight on tomorrow's meat. Words, words, your words, as valued here as Black credit at an all-American bank. They say, Lord, piety is speaking to you, but madness is hearing you speak back. And under this, like all good jokes, lies the truth. No one in this equation seems to be listening anyway. To you, to our own damned selves. So tell me, how many Black girls does it take to change a mind, or a home, or a block, or a scale, or a heart, or a course, or a country? You, Lord, as you have with your other minor prophets, have dragged, or is it called us up the mountain where in the thin air there were those who got here long before I ever dreamed of it. And we're still waiting on you to finally cash this check. Thank you all.
Wow, thank you so much, Natasha. That was so gorgeous, and we're just so honored to listen to all of your beauty and your power and your magic. Thank you for being here with us. So we are, once again, tears are just about to come. But we are honored and privileged to welcome up our last reader. Guy and I, again, want to just share just some love and light on our last feature. So I will say before I let Gaia introduce Patricia, that I have a little joke. So I say that I first met Patricia 2010 National Poetry Slam. And I was sitting behind her, biting my nails because I was so nervous to be behind her in this little dance studio next to her and Taylor Molly, two of the world's greatest poetry slam poets. And so my husband and I look over, and I'm like, that's Patricia Smith. But we never got to meet personally. I would just always see Patricia performing and being in the spaces where other slam poets were. Years later, I didn't know that I would have the opportunity to work with her, and then now to be welcoming her in this space. Gaia, take it away.
Yeah, I'm so excited that Patricia could read with us this month. Patricia Smith is the author of 8 books of poetry, including Incendiary Art, winner of the 2018 Kingsley Tufts Poetry Award, the 2017 Los Angeles Times Book Prize, and the 2018 NAACP Image Award, and finalist for the 2018 Pulitzer Prize. Should Have Been Jimmy Savannah, winner of the Lenore Marshall Prize from the Academy of American Poets, Blood Dazzler, a National Book Award finalist, and Gotta Go, Gotta Flow, a collaboration with award-winning Chicago photographer Michael Abramson. Her work has appeared in Poetry, the Paris Review, the Baffler, the Washington Post, the New York Times, Tin House, and in Best American Poetry, Best American Essays, and Best American Mystery Stories. Let's welcome Patricia on our stage. You're muted. Sorry.
Sorry, it's my dog was acting up. Hi. This is such an honor. I've never known a poetic sun to shine this hard. I'm very honored to be among all this royalty, this immense talent. And we've all felt so alone during this pandemic. And this is such a fitting way to begin to pull out of it. Love you, ladies. You've taught me so much tonight. I'm just thrilled to be among you. I am going to read one poem. It's a little long. It is, and I wasn't going to read it, and I was just staring at all the poets when they came on and thought, this is the one. And oh, thank you so much, Natasha, for that last poem. It really made up my mind for me. This is a poem about hair. In its beginning, earth was fractured, frail with coveting, and could not wait for us. So, flailing in the muscled clutch of grace, we blessed this sullen place. As we were born and born again in tenements and lush, exuberant savannas, flung from hips of southern silver, lifted into life while mamas shrieked and swore, as we were born and born again, emphatic, snared within our thrash and wail, our breath already slowed by blood's insensate question in our chests, every dazzled witness rose to name us yet again. The world was not prepared. Inside its realm, no one could fathom us. Inside its realm, no one could fathom us. We brazen through their shuttered doors. We huge inside their throats. We necessary storm, our newborn crowns smeared flat with blood, so hot against our little heads. The white mistake was thinking that, once rinsed and blotted dry, the clenched rebellious snarl was simply hair with nothing more to say. They saw instead the way our skin corrals and guzzles sun, our breathlessness, our legendary hips. They saw what commerce needed them to see, our backs grown wide and measured for the want of work. They missed the hurricane of hair, the springing from 1,000 wicked roots. That springing from 1,000 wicked roots was just the brash beginning, just the bray of light that hisses warning, do not touch this hair. This vibing wire, these bellowed threads of thundering, no, do not dare to poke a prying finger into dark you do not understand. Our hair is blade when we decide that it should be. The fools who died within its kink would speak of smother if they could. Our hair is not your savior, not your kumbaya, your ticket in. When it began, so smashed and sleek with blood, we knew that it had fist. Our hair can't be polite. Once we were slaves. Our hair was furious. Once we were slaves. Our hair was furious, forever springing loose from plaits and bows, rejecting homemade greases meant to tame the wild and wiry bloom that snapped its bands and leapt alive at every chance. At least some part of us was running free, like flame that hungers for a sky, like praying fixed on some place we knew heaven was. We sang our songs, but didn't move our mouths. We burned to black inside ourselves. With rivers as our mirrors, we began to build a wall between our stolen air and us. We snapped our dresses to our throats, made sure our hair was braided thick against the spit of men. Hair braided thick against the spit of men, we hurtled forth. For years we mystified the whisper tressed, but listened when they said that we were wrong, not white or silk enough, and that we'd never be unless we walked into the fire, succumbing to a hate we hoarded for ourselves. Because they loved their blemished daughters. Mamas twisted knobs on cranky ovens, conjured flame, and made us sit on rusted, wobbling kitchen chairs beneath the ironing comb that charred our necks, beneath the lie that chewed at scalp and root, and we endured that hurt. Forgot the days our chaos crown had bellowed, nap unleashed. Our crown still fought to bellow, nap unleashed, though it was wounded, hammered down with heat and oil that stank of animals and flowers, although we wept while memorizing pale and wispy heads in magazines. We gazed and learned to suffer poisons to correct our ugly, free us from the blunder of ourselves. And as we listened, reaching up to touch a stranger's head, a stranger head, with strands that disappeared us, trapped us in their strangling glamour, we remembered this, that we are people destined to explode. So we exploded toward ourselves again. When we explode, we know ourselves again. We shake our funky liberated heads and raise our voices to the rafters. Do not dare touch these crowns. And we are Alabama, Brooklyn, Watts. We are middle finger lifted toward the seething witnesses to all this joy. And we are Trinidad and Harlem. We are bopping straight into the yesterday we were, and straight into the history we've made, and straight into tomorrow with our rampant naps so gleefully unchecked, so unrestrained, entwined till we become a single soul, yet none of us the same. A single soul, yet none of us the same. We are the only government we need. Our vivid, cocky crowns stunned in their tilt and swirl. They devastate and irritate. They be our gospel, be our calling card. They be our halo, be the way we reach for sky. The crown is ours to snip or dye 100 awkward hues. It's ours to tuck beneath a Sunday hat, to crimp and twist, to scissor down to air, much like a man's. This hair is all our other breath. It's art upon our heads, a glory spill. It's wild, bewildering, and sexy in its snarl. It's neon, razored, locked and knotted, looped and neon, razored, locked and knotted, looped and razored, locked and neon, looped and not the business of just anyone. Our hair is blatantly political, a staunch and blaring tangle, glory in our names, the gospel in our bobbing heads. It's fierce, and yes, still furious, still springing loose from any peril set on silencing its roar. You've underestimated us. You didn't know the muscularity of kink was busily rebirthing us. It taught us all the ways to mouth our names with Serengeti tongues. It's quarrelsome and coiled. It's all the things, but always black and coiled. This hair is all the things, but black and wildly goddesses. We've always known the powerfulness of wearing our own sky, the lyric of the scar. We've always known that even though they dared to call us slaves, we never were. If only they had heard the freedom on our heads, the jubilant, triumphant wail of all that hair, its rude, unbridled verb, they would have left us free to rule our own damn selves, to live our sweet and colored lives. Our hair is throat, is knife against the throat, is song within the throat. It's how we rock and conquer every room. Our hair is the funk, the scorch. Aretha's growl is hair, is funk, is scorch. Aretha's growl is one of just a million ways the tale is told. It's told in gospel, hurtling toward the rafters, told in warnings, grunted blue and deeper blue by Delta gals. It's told in songs our mamas sang before they threw those pressing combs into the fire. Go on and raise your eyes to where we rise. Go on and hail the royalty we be. Go on, resent the ways we vowed to live our souls out loud. But do not touch this hair. The black explode, the crowning of it all. Your hands will never know a shelter in this heat, so sweetly hellish on our perfect heads, so sweetly hellish on our perfect heads. This hair has known the yesterdays we know, has lived the history we've lived. Once we were slaves. And then there were the days we sat on plastic kitchen chairs while trying not to hear the sizzling iron comb, its teeth intent on disappearing us. When they were freed, embracing wild, each strand became a fist that pierced the air, a strident voice that sanctified and irritated, each and every one its tiny god. You say it's only hair, a consequence of blood, a quirk of body. What it is life, and even history can't twist that truth. Yes, even history can't twist that truth, can't warp the telling, See, our hair's the thing that no one else will claim. It makes us like nobody else. It seems there is a world of silk, of blonde and auburn, pinkish skin that coppers under sun. But then there's powerful nappy. Then there's the feral curl, the everything there is, what Black girls have that no one else imagines. Mystery prevails. It just may be the kiss of sun that's braided in the braids, the moon that spits its liquid light in dreaded ropes. The earth was not prepared for what our locks would scream. In the beginning, earth was fractured, frail. In its beginning, earth was fractured, frail. Outside its realm, no one could fathom us, our springing from a single wicked root. When we began, our hair was furious and braided thick against the spit of men. Our chaos crown still razzles, nap unleashed, and we explode, always ourselves again, a single soul, yet none of us the same. It's neon razored, crimped and knotted, looped and coiled, it's all the things but always black. Our hair's the funk, the scorch, Aretha's growl, it's sweetly hellish on our perfect heads. And even history can't twist this truth. No woman wears the crown except the queen. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Where's my girls? Where's my girls? Thank you. Thanks for all the good words. And thanks. It was new. You guys, it's a new piece. Khalisa, come back, Khalisa. There you are.
Thank you so much, Patricia. Oh my God.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Of course. Of course. Would you like to read anything else? We're just on the edge of our seats.
One short one.
Okay.
And this is, I think I invited all my students here. So this is from the first book, you know, the book that you have that you would rewrite. This is that. And I think I might even know this. Okay. I watch a lot of terrible movies, and this was after watching. Okay, what was it? Okay, the one Jason, and yeah, Jason. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, it's about Medusa. Okay, and Medusa. I used to love to read mythology, and I found out that Medusa became Medusa because, like so many of us, get messed up with just dealing with the wrong man. And so she slept with Poseidon in Athena's temple, and Athena was not having it. So this is Medusa as her body is going through the changes, you know, turn men to stone, snakes in the hair, the whole bit. Poseidon was easier than most. He calls himself a god, but he fell beneath my fingers with more shaking than any mortal. He wept when my robe fell from my shoulders. I made him bend his back for me, listen to his screams break like waves. We defile that temple the way it should be defiled, squirming and bucking our way from corner to corner. You know, the bitch goddess probably got a real kick out of that. I'm sure I'll be hearing from her. She'll give me nightmares for a week or so, that I can handle. Or she'll turn the water in my well into blood. I'll scream when I see it, and that'll be that. Maybe my first child will be born with the head of a fish. I'm not even sure it was worth it. Poseidon pounding away at me like a madman, losing his immortal mind because of the way my copper skin swells in moonlight. Now my arms smoke and itch. Hard scales are rising on my wrists like armor. Damn it, Athena. He was just another lay, and not a particularly good one at that, even though he could spit steam from his fingers. I won't touch him again. Promise. And we didn't mean to drop to our knees in your temple, but our bodies were so hot and misaligned. It's not every day a gal gets the sample of God. You know that. Why you being so rough on me? I feel my eyes twisting, the lids crusting over and boiling, the pupils glowing like red coals. Athena, woman to woman, could you have resisted him? Would you have been able to wait for the proper place, the right moment to jump those immortal bones? Now my feet are tangled with hair. My ears are gone. My back is curving and my lips have grown numb. My garden boy just shattered at my feet. Damn it, Athena! Take away my father's gold. Send me away to live with lepers. Give me a pimple or two. But my face, to have men never again gaze at my face, growing stupid in anticipation of that first touch. How can any woman live like that? How can I watch their warm bodies turn to rock when their only sin was desiring me? They just want to see me sweat. They just want to touch my face and run their fingers through my hair. Is it moving? Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, my husband. Thank you, Khalisa. Thank you, Gaia. Thank you, everyone. Ada, you were amazing. I'm so happy to be here with you. Sumita, my new friend. Natasha, I just remembered how we go back to dirt, you and I. So
Yeah.
I was like, anyway, you guys were wonderful. We should just do a reality show and all move in together.
I'm in. I'm in.
Let's do it.
See if we are able to kill. Can you imagine like 8 poets in a house together? The 16-year-old goes first.
Or outlives us all.
Oh, yes.
Watch out for.
Oh my God. All the readings were so amazing. I just feel like so filled up, like really filled up.
Yeah, this is a literal dream for me. So it's been so incredible to see all of you read. We have a couple announcements before we can really devolve into chaos. So Khalisa, do you have those for us?
Where's my glass of chaos?
I wanted to open the floor to see if anybody wanted to say any news about their upcoming work. So I didn't have any personal announcements. I wanted to open the floor to everyone else. Does anybody have any upcoming books or readings or anything they want to pub, anything they want to share? Anything we should know before we let everyone go?
Oh, the crown, the hair crown.
Uh-huh.
It is there's a photographer by the name of Sandro, and he had done a series of portraits in Ghana, women with all manners of hair, and he wanted some text for the book, so that's where that came from, and it probably should be out. It's like a coffee table book. It probably should be out in another couple of months.
Oh. Wow.
Anyone else want to share anything? Have shows coming?
I will tell you that my my very first book that came out 15 years ago, Lucky Wreck, is just re-released as a 15th anniversary edition, which is really exciting. And then also The Carrying is just coming out in paperback, so it'll be in paperback for the first time. So that's my little news.
That's amazing. Anyone else? I'm just like on a high. So if anybody else wants to
I know. I wish we could all go have a cocktail together. Although Gaia,
Yeah.
We got to get her a fake ID for when we all exit this panorama.
Gaia, when are you reading next?
I don't really know. I'll have to check, but thank you, Patricia.
Oh, I should bring her to my class. Okay, we'll talk about that.
Well, if no one has anything, do y'all want to take a quick little like photo with us all here? Can we do that? You take a quick photo, and the audience, y'all can take a photo. I think Natasha said this is like history in the making, right? So we want to capture this moment really quick. Thank y'all so much for being here.
No one can bring this group together but you guys. I just don't see it anywhere else.
True. It's really true.
All right,
You guys did an amazing job in organizing everything. Everything was so perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, really. Thank you so much. I mean, this is a dream event and so beautifully done. Truly.
Agreed.
Stunning. Thank you all so much.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Thanks, Gaia, for coordinating with me. You're amazing.
Okay, so picture in 5, 4.
Oh, wait. Hey, get my phone. Where's my... Okay.
I'm taking a little screenshot so I can be sure to also send it to everybody too.
Okay.
Okay. 3. Okay, sure. Khalisa's number. Yay!
We're gonna let everybody go and log off, and we can stay and party and do our thing once we log off and have some wine if y'all want to. But thank y'all so much for coming. Please check out wocspeak.com or follow us on Twitter for information about the next show. Thank you, everyone. This was absolutely a dream. I'm gonna go cry some more before I get my wine because this was just amazing. We love all of you so much, and have a beautiful night.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.